Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Engine House. I am your host, of course, Gandy Dancer, and as you can see here, I'm all kind of almost all set up here. Got some pictures on the walls back here. Roll top desk is here. Bookshelves, of course, you saw some of these in the last video, and it's still kind of a mess. There's a few more things that have to come out of the basement off the old desk, and that is my power strip. So my soldering iron, my heat, my, just different things I can use up here. This is still kind of a work in progress over here. I have my paint set up. There is the Bavarian Village sitting here, or, everything came to a screeching halt come June when the remodeling and the garage and everything started coming down and all at once. And then, of course, the bathroom issue. So it's always something. This house is 1921. This place was built. Okay, so there's always something here in these older homes, and I'm just now getting back to my layout down in the basement. Happy New Year, everybody! By the time this video comes out, it'll probably be New Year. As a matter of fact, I know it will be. Currently, right now, it's the 30th of December. And it's 45 degrees outside and raining. Once again, we are going to lose all the snow. Last time we had 6 inches of snow. We had wind and rain overnight, hard rain, and we had bare ground the next day. We got about 2 or 3 inches of snow right before Christmas, and here it is. We've got rain off and on all day today and 45-degree weather. What little bit of snow we had is almost gone. I can see a lot of bare spots in the backyard. It's weird weather here. Okay. So it's just been kind of crazy, but anyway, I've been able to get back down into the basement. The last of the paneling and the walls came down, and went to the dump the other day. I still have the sheetrock on the ceiling that's got to come down. That's going to come down a little at a time because it's comes down in pieces. It's nailed up there. You're not going to get a whole sheet down. I couldn't even tell you where the seams were. So it's just coming down a little at a time, bagging it up, going to take it to the dump. It's a mess down there right now. I did manage to salvage the mountain on my layout, a good chunk of that, and I turned it 90 degrees. And I put it up against the other piece of the layout I can salvage. Now, I had talked about in another video, I was going to make a U with the mountain being the base of the U. And then I was going to have kind of a modified dog bone, maybe with a loop on one end, coming around, loop on the other, going back. And I got to thinking, the one leg of the U is going to be a setup that I can take off easily if we need to have the furnace removed or the oil tank removed and replaced. I don't want to have to rip down half the layout to get it in or out. So part of the layout is going to be made so I can move it out of the way. It's going to be bolted to instead of screwed to. It's going to be bolted to the bottom of the U, and the tracks are going to butt against each other right there at the seam. And so that if I need to remove them, they'll be set up so the trains will run smoothly. Modular people who build modular railroads done it all the time. I've never tried it. I'm going to, hopefully it'll work. I don't know. We'll see. A lot of my rolling stock that has been sitting down there, the trucks have started to get a little rusty again. I'm going to have to clean a lot of that up. The problem with these old homes in the summer, especially, it's humid in the basement, and we did have a heat pump water heater installed, which dehumidifies, but it was a little late in the season, and things had already kind of started. A lot of my locomotives and rolling stock I'm going to have to clean back up and service again before I actually get things running. And anyway, I'll be getting about more work down in there. I take you down and show you, but it's a mess right now, and I've got to do new lighting. It's pretty dark in there. I've got one light off near the furnace, and there's not enough light to really see what's going on. So I'll be working on it little by little as time goes on, running wire, laying track, and redoing. So I'm building the new section of the layout. But anyway, in the process of planning this dog bone thing, kind of, I decided I've got a controller that will run 2 trains. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually close in the top of that U with another piece, not as wide. I've got a piece of plywood about that wide and long enough. I'm going to use that as the base, and I'll be able to remove it or part of it to get in and out of the center, so I can stand in the center and run 2 trains. There'll be an outer loop and an inner loop. One will be a passenger, one will be a freight. And there'll be a bridge so I can get in and out, like I said, and I'll be able to remove that section as well if I need to, the whole section, to get it out of my way, as well as the other. So it's kind of still in the works, in planning stages. That's kind of what I'm doing. So anyway, I was checking a few things out. I did an unboxing video a while back of a pre-war Lionel set that my wife had got me. And I didn't think much of it at the time, but being somewhat of a historian, I mean, I have all of my rolling stock and all of my locomotives are pre and post war. Okay, mostly post war. I started with the wife's set, which was a 1946 Hudson Dreyfuss, or Dreyfuss Hudson. That was her dad's set, and I got that going, and I bought some others, and I've got 3 different versions of the Dreyfuss Hudson, or Hudson Dreyfuss. I think it matters, but anyway, I have 3 separate versions of that. I have A, B, and C, and her dad's was the C. And it got me to thinking. I'm a bit of a historian, kind of like history, and I thought, that set was given to her father when he was a little boy, when his dad came home from war. His dad wanted normalcy, wanted to do, coming back from what was going on and trying to get back into civilian life. It's more difficult than you think, trust me. But anyway, he got his son this post-war Lionel set, and he had it for many, many years until he passed away, and then it stayed in the closet, and then I ended up with it. So I do like the history of that thing. I like looking at it. I like the Lionel. I do enjoy it. And the other, the one she got me, the set she got me, is 1930s. And I've done a little research on it. And it was between, this is it right here. This is a torpedo shape. I memory right now a little. It's designed after an actual locomotive that came out, and Lionel rushed to put this into production, 1936 to 1938. Now, keep in mind, the Depression started with the crash of 29, and it went pretty much right up until we got into World War II. We were coming out of it. By the time this Lionel had gone into receivership, and by the time this was manufactured, Lionel had just come out of receivership in 1935, and they put this into production. And of course, we're still coming out. We weren't out of the depression. It's not like you snap your fingers and boom, everything's back to normal. We all know how recessions work, and the Depression was way worse than that. So I just wondered, what was the thought process on this? And honestly, I mean, somebody had to have bought it, because here it is. And I wonder sometimes of who this was. Was it given to somebody for Christmas in 1936 or 37, or even 38? And who has played with this? Where are they now? My mother was born in 1937. She's 87. Somebody was probably be now in their 90s that might have played with this locomotive when it was brand new. It kind of makes you wonder. It does. You're holding a piece of history, and it may or may not dawn on you that other kids, other people have had this and played with it. And you can tell I'll show you some of the rolling stock here in a minute. Some of it's been played with pretty hard over the years. This old girl, she's in a little bit of rough shape. It's missing the rear trailing truck here. I have it. That's missing a wheel. I need to find a wheel. I'm slowly looking for parts. It also needs a rivet here on this side. This is riveted on rather than screwed on with the old-fashioned kind of screws. I don't know why they did that, but there's some other ones that are riveted as well. I don't know if I'll be able to find a rivet or if I'm just going to have to get a really small bolt with a really small nut and put it on there and call it good. I don't know. I've been looking. I don't even have the tools, I don't think, to rivet it. I think it might be a simple process. But again, we'll see what happens. This is for a later project. I have so much going on. This is going to be in my to-do list of things. One of the things that I did learn today, and I do enjoy learning new things, is this. When this came out, there were two versions of this. I did not know this. This is O, not O27. This is O. Is it O scale as we know it today? I don't think so. I'd have to have a modern O scale locomotive to compare it to, but I have broke out one of my Hudsons. Here is this. I'm going to set this right over here because you can get kind of a better idea of the size of this thing. Now, the tender, of course, I have the tender. This is a pretty good chunk of tender right here. And this is in rough shape. This has got to be completely rebuilt. Will I repaint it? I might. I don't know. It's kind of rusty in spots. I have a couple of tenders that are gunmetal gray that also need repainting, that are for the Dreyfus. So we'll see. But this tender is also, now I did not bring in an extra tender to show. I figured the locomotive would be good enough. This also is, they did make 1941. I did a video on those, or I have some. It's rolling stock that has the transition couplers on them. They have a knuckle coupler on one side of the truck and this old style on the other. And that was 1941. That was right before Lionel stopped production for the war. Excuse me. Because at that point, I guess they were switching over to knuckle couplers, and a lot of people still had this old style, so they had it so you could hook up your older rolling stock to the more modern, stuff, which is pretty cool if you think about it. Anyway, this is their actual O. Now, some of the more modern O scale stuff, and again, I'll have to look. What I read, this would take a 31 degree radius. I don't know if it'll be 027 was made to go around a 27 degree radius turn. Okay. This, as O, was higher quality, higher up, more expensive than 027. Now, I have one of my Hudsons here. You can already see the difference. Look at the size difference in those. There's a lot of difference here. The other thing is Let me see. These things are heavy. Look at the size of the back of the cabs. Okay. Look at the size of, I gotta be careful of that so I don't damage that. Nose to nose. Side by side. Okay. This is for 27-degree radius turn, but this is of at the time a cheaper version for people who couldn't afford the bigger stuff, the old stuff. I did not know this. I'm actually you learn something every day, right? Having only gotten back into this hobby a couple of years ago and only gotten into O scale like a little over almost 2 years ago, I'm still learning this stuff. Okay. I had HO way back when I was 15, 16, 17, right before I went in the Navy. I haven't had model railroad since. So there's a lot of stuff I'm learning on this, but I did not know they made a higher end. Now I have to look and see if they did post-war O or if they stuck with the cheaper version. I don't know. This is a I can't talk. Dreyfus Hudson. Was my wife's dad's, and they made 3 versions of this. I did do a video a while back. If you want to check it out, it's back there somewhere. You can go look for it. They had 2 gunmetal grays, and one was a version A, one was a version B, and this was the version C, and this was done in black. The version A is getting harder and harder to find. I got lucky and found one, and I grabbed it. But I mean, you can see the size difference in these. It's unbelievable. Now, again, you're looking at the rolling stock. I've got O scale hoppers that are my grandsons. I got them from Menards. I did an unboxing video. That's 3 times that size. Okay. Now, granted, this is only a single, but it's wider, it's longer, and it's definitely taller. Here's a box car. Same thing. The O scale box car that's actual O, modern O, is way bigger than this. This, by the way, has been well played with. I am not going to, unless I can find the exact match paint, none of these will get repainted. These are very hard to find the paints for. I have not had any much luck. I don't even know what you call that. I don't really, unless it's rusty, I don't really want to mess with it because this has been well played with over the years. And I kind of like, it's okay. It's a little rough. I will clean the rust off of the couplers and the rust off of the trucks. And of course, I'll make these trucks work a little better than they do. But for the most part, unless they are really in bad shape, I don't want to mess with them. Now, this does need another brake handle over here. And again, I'm in the process of looking for parts as I find them. I have so many projects right now. Some of this stuff is just pushing it back as far as I can to get other things done. But if I stumble across something, I buy it. And I will buy the replacement parts as well as I find them. But you can see, and again, this is rough. One of the handrails is broken, and the other side, of course, is missing altogether. This will get a nice bath to wash the dirt off, but I don't think I'll do much more with it, except maybe clean up the rust again on the couplers. So they're done. I may dip these in some CLR. These will actually, from the looks of them, they'll come right off if I can figure out how to turn them just right. But I'm not too worried about it. Actually, that's pretty easy. I can take those off, dip them in CLR, and put them right back on. But I need to find parts. And, you know, I will, as I stumble across stuff, but there's other things I need for my layout, like people. I have no people, no vehicles. I need detail parts. I need other things. And I will dig that stuff up little by little as I find it. And this stuff will get cleaned up here and there when I have a spare minute or two. As you can, I have a lot of projects going on here. And of course, come summer, there'll be even more. But anyway, when you look at actual O and then post-war O, the post-war caboose, for instance, is bigger than this. It's not twice the size, but it's probably at least a third, maybe a quarter bigger than this. And it's the gauge stays the same, obviously, but they're a little larger. And I did not bring in any of the rolling stock because I don't have a lot of room up here. I just brought these up to show them, and I was pretty impressed with this. How the size difference is. I did not know this. It was quite, you pull this out of the box and you don't have something sitting right there. It's like, oh, okay, put it aside. And then I started researching some of this because I wanted to know when it was built, roughly when it was made. And I found out that it is O. And again, is it O as compared to what we see as O gauge? I don't have a modern O gauge locomotive to compare this to. So if somebody has, oh my God, that is, I'd be happy to find. I'd like to find out, because I have most everything I have is O27. Will this go around a 27-degree radius? They say 31 for that. I am not going to have a dog bone. It's going to be an actual 2 loops, like I said now. So this may, if I clean this up, it may, and get it running. I don't even know if it runs. I haven't even put power to it yet. When I clean it up and get it running, I may see, if it may just be fine on the track, just fine. It'll be interesting to see. I have another pre-war locomotive that I need to get working on as well. And again, I'm going to need to clean all of these up and resurface them. I want to try a different grease on these. I was doing white lithium, and it's okay, but it's not as permanent. I'm going to find a different. I know Lionel has a grease for these. I'm going to find it and try using some of that and see if it doesn't help with some of this. And the rolling stock, I need to clean the trucks and everything again. We have a heat pump water heater, which does dehumidify. We put it in late in the year, so some of the damage had already been done. If that doesn't handle the moisture like we think it should, we're probably, and the other thing is that basement is cold. The cold, stone basement, old house. If we're not running the furnace, and we don't, the heat pumps manage to handle, especially upstairs. Last year up here was freezing. We would have to put a little space heater up here when it got really cold on the landing out here, turn it on and let it run before we came upstairs and went to go to bed because it was just freezing up here. Well, the one of the heat pumps, the head force, right at the top of the stairs. So the upstairs now stays nice and warm. The downstairs, because where the heat pump head is in the living room, right at the base of the stairs. I think a lot of the heat comes rushing up the stairs, but the living room stays fairly comfortable. The basement door is in the dining room area, and because, again, we're not running the furnace, it gets cold down there, and as we all know, cold follows hot. The cold air, I put my hand in front of the cat door on that door the other day, and it felt like a wind tunnel coming out of there. So the cold is just pouring out of the basement. So what we may do, wife and I have been talking about this, is putting a heat pump in the basement. And they not only heat, but they air condition, and they have a setting for dry, which is pretty much what we ran our heat pumps on during the summer. It will take the moisture out of the air. We never had to run the air conditioner once. We put them on dry, and the house stayed comfortable. Even in the hottest part of the summer, the house stayed comfortable. So they act as a dehumidifier as well. So if we put one down there, a heat pump down there, then we're going to switch the one up here to a dual unit instead of a single. And that way we don't have to put a third unit on. We'll just replace that one. It's a small for just up here. We'll replace that with a bigger unit and 2 heads, and it'll be fine. And then we'll have the heat down in the basement. And I should eliminate a lot of the moisture issues that are causing some of the rust that I have to take care of. Some of the track, all my tracks, 40s and 50s stuff. There's nothing modern. Some of it got water on it from a leak recently that we caught down there from the washer, the pipe, the hose, the drain hose. We don't even get me started on how the last owners cobbled stuff together. But some of my track got pretty rusty. Now, some of it, the real bad stuff, I'm going to throw in some CLR for a little bit and pull it out. And a couple of turnouts got some rust on them. And I don't know if CLR eats plastic or not, but I'm going to throw them in some diluted stuff and see if that doesn't help the rust on them. And then I'm going to I got a wire wheel for my my grinder. I'm going to do a lot of the track, clean it all up, wiring, clean all the track up real nice so it's get a good connection. And I'll be working on that here in the next couple of weeks. As little by little, I'll be tearing the ceiling down and I'll be putting in new lights. I have some really good lighting for down there. I hope that it works really well. And I'll be shooting some videos down there and to show you what's going on. But I would take you down now, but it's a mess. So as I start working and down there and cleaning up some of that mess. I mean, now that it's 2025 or will be when this airs, I'll be able to get down there and get started. And little by little, I can shoot videos. But anyway, I wanted to go over this with the Locomotives. Again, I learned something new. I was pretty impressed with that. I like that. Now I know, and I'll keep looking for O-scale stuff, find out what's out there, and if I find some more, maybe I'll grab it. But again, I need detail parts first. And I have many other buildings and stuff to do. I got a whole shelf full of stuff here that needs to get built. I've got some scratch building I still want to do. And there never seems to be enough hours in the day. So anyway, if you like the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment. Anyway, that's it for this video. Bye for now.